after we're done with this sort of initial speechifying, you guys will break out to your divisions, and I think we've got keys for folks. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think we've got keys. Obviously, if you haven't got a coach's shirt yet, grab one of those, and we'll get you some more information, more specific to your division. So, just real quick for a couple of things for me, and I'll turn it over to these guys. Just a few things I wanted to. We've gotten a lot of questions. Background checks. So the way that works is we send that out in batches. So we did an initial batch, I think last week or something like that. So probably a bunch of you got an email that said do the background check. It's gonna keep harping on doing that. You have to do it before you actually work, like with any kids. Anybody has any sort of specific questions to that? Feel free to email. You can get my email on the board website. You can send an email. But essentially, how that'll work is, if you got the email, please fill it out, submit it. We'll get a little check mark that says you're good to go, and then we don't have to bug you. It will keep emailing you if you don't do it, so it's gonna hassle you. And if you get it twice, if you filled it out and you get it again, just let me know. Hopefully that shouldn't happen. The reason that happens sometimes is if you're coaching, say, at like AAA, and then you're also coaching at AA, it generates it twice. We try to take the duplicate out so you don't get that. But if you are getting that, you don't need to fill it out again. Just let me know, and we'll figure that out. And then the goal with the next batch is to send out like in the next day or so. So if you haven't gotten one yet, you should be getting one. And again, just go ahead and fill that out. And make sure, I assume everybody here is actually registered on the website. That's how you go in and you register as a volunteer. Yeah. And so the other thing to know is if you get somebody wants to help out, which, if you're the only coach on any team, send the email to your team saying, I need some help. And if people are going to volunteer, they're going to be involved like on the field, they really need to volunteer on the website so they can do the background check. It's a one-time thing, like coaches are gone for the weekend or something like that, and parent steps in. It's another thing. But if you're going to have a coach that's going to be working with the team, just make sure they volunteer. Let the division director know, and then they can add you to the website, and we'll send that out.
So Mark, so my assistant coaches got the form, because I don't think I mentioned this to them. So they've got it because they signed up through the website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you volunteered as a coach, actually, really, if you volunteered at anything, you'll get the email. So just fill that out. So if it's a team parent or board member, whatever it is. So that just be on the lookout for that.
Did it last year?
You do, yeah. And that's not that's a Little League sort of national thing. So yeah, good question. And we get that every year. Like most people, a lot of people are return. So I've done it 6 times now. So yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it again. And the only thing I just want to talk to you for, it's just, we give this kind of spiel every year, especially for any new coaches, just the spirit of this. And we've had it before, typically at AAA for whatever reason, where coaches get a little carried away about what we're trying to do. Obviously, especially at that level, winning is sort of secondary to, putting a good experience out for the kids. We've tried this year to try to give some guidance as far as what we're trying to do. So with some rules, and you'll get this through your divisions, about the rules we're kind of, using at each division, the sort of objectives at each division. In T-ball, we're going to try to introduce, coach pitch, and there's a way to do that. At the AA level, we're going to try to get kids actually pitching, so they're used to that, and then kind of up through. And the goal there, long term, is, Little League has always been a pyramid. There's a ton of kids at T-ball, and then as we get closer to majors, kids drop off because they're less confident or what have you. So we're trying to make that a little more uniform. One of the things, and for anybody that was not able to go, John Nathans, who's one of our volunteer coaches and has a long history of coaching youth baseball, played professionally, did a coaching clinic this past weekend. We recorded it, so Brian recorded it, and we created a YouTube channel. And so you can watch, I think it's like 6 or 7 videos on there. And what it is, and if you're a T-ball coach and you're a AA coach, the goal of this was to make your life easier. So there's some stuff in there about how to run a practice, some checklists about how to teach throwing. And I can tell you when I played growing up, and I still play in like old man baseball league. And when I first started, I had no idea, like how to run a T-ball practice. I mean, just what you're going to do with these kids. So the goal of this was to help everybody out with that. So I encourage you to take a look at that stuff because it's going to make your life a lot easier. If you have questions, I mean, I'm relatively confident John would be happy to answer that. It really is something I wish I had when we started out. So take a look for that. I think Brian sent out an email with the link. We can get that to you. So other than that, just thank you. I'm going to turn it over here so we can kind of move things along. If anybody has any questions of me, I'll be here all night. And then my email's on the website. So, all right. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew Gallman, and I'm the coaching coordinator. So thank you for attending this meeting and most importantly, volunteering. It's an important job, and it's not an easy one. So coaching consists of not only helping players learn the skills, being able to make those decisions on the field, but more importantly, teaching them life lessons, such as how to be a good teammate, perseverance, and setting goals. So I think that's important for us to remember that. So my job is to get resources to you to help you in your job. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So a couple resources I want to make you aware of. One is called Diamond Leaders, and you can access it through the Little League site. And that's getting at, I think it's pretty new, getting at the social-emotional curriculum. So it takes about 30 minutes to complete. It includes a quiz at the end of just scenarios that you could encounter. And then upon completion, you'll get like a certificate. And if you're interested in coaching All-Stars, you need to have that done. So it's pretty easy, straightforward. Other good resources, just the Little League site, Little League University. There's a lot of videos. And then I've gone through and also compiled some links and a list of those. So I'll forward those out to the division directors. We had a coaching clinic last Saturday, John Nathan's. It was awesome. We have a video of it. And I'm hoping to have another clinic on April 30th, Sunday, led by Tim Eisenhart. So stay tuned for that. We're working on division standards. So you'll get a list of what skills we want our players to focus on for each division. And those are going to line up with the rules. And just some nuts and bolts. Game Changer is an awesome way to reach out to the parents, communicate. I have it on my phone. It's great. So I recommend definitely trying that out. And then field cleanup dates is April 22nd, Saturday, with a rain date of April 23rd. And your division directors will reach out to you about specifics. So that's about it. So Joe Rank's going to talk to you. He's our safety officer.
Thank you for everyone coming out. I'm Joe, and I'm the safety director. One of the most important things this year and every year for us is to have all the kids have a great time and also be safe. So there's a number of things just to keep in mind as a coach or a volunteer. First thing is every practice or game, one of the coaches should walk the field, the perimeter of the field, the full field. We try to do the best job keeping other people off our fields, but most of them are open and people like to have the dogs run through them, and unfortunately other people just use our fields in ways that aren't for baseball. So really before every practice and game, really walk the field, the perimeter of the field itself, to make sure there's nothing in there that could hurt a kid or create a danger. The biggest rule really for safety is if a child has a bat in their hand, because this is probably the most common bat injury, is getting hit in the head or hit in the arm or body with a bat. So in all games, in all practices, kids should not be holding a bat in their hand without a helmet on. And especially during games, there is no on-deck circle for any level of baseball or softball. Majors down to T-ball, the only person that has a bat in their hands is the batter. And all the children or kids are in the dugouts are not allowed to hold the bat in their hands or swing. And if they're next in bat, they have their helmet on, and their bat is not even in their hands on the ground, it's up against the fence. So getting hit with a bat leads to some pretty tough injuries that we don't want to see this year. And John, as a head of the umpires, if you have an umpire in a game and they see a kid with a bat, they will stop the game and ask that kid to put the bat down. Another rule that's pretty important all the way through from Little League, T-ball all the way up to majors is kids stay in the dugout. They don't run off, see their family, or just play on the grass or on the sidelines. We want all the kids to stay in the dugout near the coach, just to make sure that they're safe and they're aware of what the game, how the game is going. If they need to go to the bathroom or see their parents, really as a coach, you should really encourage them to ask for permission first. I know it's really easy for kids that want to go see their parents and talk to them, but it's important for them to stay with the team. On the lower levels, just awareness on the field, especially T-ball, AA. If there's kids sitting on the field or sort of doing somersaults on the outfield, you should stop the game and make sure that they are aware of what's going on in the field. You'd be surprised how hard some of the kids in AA and T-ball can hit the ball, and kids can get hurt if they're not paying attention. So just being aware of kids, being not afraid to stop the game if someone's not paying attention. And staying with the idea of staying in the dugout or next to the team. If there's a foul ball that's near the dugout, yeah, kids can go get the foul ball. But we have some fields where the foul ball goes in the woods or near the highway over at Russo. Really let a parent or a coach go out and get that foul ball. Again, we have a lot of people in Portland that use our fields that are activities that we probably don't condone with kids running around. So just be aware that foul balls out into the woods, just have a parent. That's it. Anything else on
Yeah, I
safety?
mean, just to piggyback on that,
Yeah.
so I know we got at least one email to the board about at Pedro Field, you know, throughout the winter, I think there's been some campers kind of near the outfield fence. So that's something we'll be in contact with the city and Portland PD to make sure that anybody who's sort of, you know, camping out there, it's sort of moved on before the kids actually get there, and they'll do a kind of a little bit of a sweep. We'll do a field cleanup day, but we're not asking you guys to pick up needles. I mean, that's not, you know, going to be part of your job. So we'll take a look at all that stuff, but yeah, just kind of be aware. Obviously, over at Russo is one where balls. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if anybody's been over there, but for AAA, there's foul balls that go into that area, like by the highway. We'll get more balls.
Yeah.
You know, we
Don't
don't
go get
need.
'em.
Yeah, we don't need kids sort of going in, and they'll want to. It's like, for whatever reason, they'll just like. So yeah, just keep them out of there. And if anybody ever sees anything out of field, you know, that's a safety hazard, you know, stuff like that. Like you see, you know, there's a needle or something like that. Please let us know. And obviously, you know, but you know, we want to take care of that kind of thing. Generally speaking, from what I've seen, is like once we start playing, we don't really see that because we're there a lot, you know. So anything like that is sort of doesn't happen while we're there. But please let us know, and that's something we'll want to take care of right away.
Also, first aid kits, ice packs. We'll make sure that all of the sheds have first aid kits and ice packs. We'll get the inside ice packs. You just shake it and it gets cold. Don't be afraid to hand them out. We can always get more. That's probably the biggest first aid issue. Someone get hit by a ball and they need an ice pack. Don't be afraid to use them. If the shed is empty, let your director know, or a coach will let me know through the director, and I can get more out to the sheds. We do have injury incident reports that need to be filled out if injury is serious enough where you have to go to see a doctor or emergency room. So please let your director know if there is an injury, and they'll reach out to me, and between the director and myself, we'll fill out that incident report, and then we need to log that and then send that on to Little League International. So it is important that if someone is injured sufficiently enough to go to the hospital, that is reported. I think that is it. John Hill.
Hi, my name is John Hill. I'm the UIC for Portland Little League and District 6. So I do all the coordination of the umpires. Mostly we do majors games, trying to get more minors games covered too this year. I've reached out to both Portland and Deering High School and baseball teams to see if we can get some of their kids to show up to the games to help do them for us. I think as everybody's already mentioned kind of too, yeah, we're all volunteers. The umpires are volunteers also. Nobody on the umpire staff gets paid to do a game. And in addition to that, I think 1 or 2 of them have kids in the league at this point. My kids have all aged out, and most of the umpires' kids have aged out of the league and don't have kids anymore. So they are doing this out of their love of the game and wanting to have the kids have a good time. So please take that into consideration. Be kind and nice to the umpires. It's okay to question a call, ask about a call if it's a rules interpretation call. If it's a straight judgment call, don't bother. Especially most of the time, it's gonna be one guy out there. He's still in second, he's safe. You're not gonna change my mind if he's safe or out at that point, okay? Things like you want to question if there's a play at first base and you happen to have 2 umpires, and the first umpire calls him out, hey, can you go check and see if he pulled his foot with the home plate umpire? Something like that. Does that make sense? I'm going to reiterate a little bit what he said. On the rules side, there absolutely is no bats in the hand except for the first person coming up to bat or the person at the plate. If you have not seen a kid get hit with a bat in the face, it is not a pretty sight. I've seen it about 4 times, so we want to avoid that at all costs. Same thing about keeping them in the dugout. Also, parents, stay away from the dugout. It's let the coaches coach the kids. If anybody has any volunteers that are interested in umpiring, please let me know. We can definitely use all the help we can get. I have about 4 or 5 full-time right now, so it's hard. That's baseball, softball. Baseball is 5 days a week. Softball is between 2 and 3 days a week at our field, so it is difficult to get people there all the time. If you do have a rules question, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always willing to talk about the rules and answer questions. Mostly softball, but also baseball now. There is no jewelry allowed during the games. You can't tape earrings over or anything like that. So please reach out to your kids now, as soon as you get your teams, and let them know, don't get your ears pierced if you're not going to be willing to take it out during the game. Because at the majors level, if we have an umpire there, they cannot play, and they will not play. And I will say it is not fun to be the one to tell a kid that she can't play because they won't take the earrings out. All right, so especially if that's the 9th kid on the team, and now you only have 8. That happened to me a couple years ago, so it's not a good place to be. Any questions? I'll be hanging around also, so thank you.
Yeah, and then, just to echo that, I mean, we don't have enough umpires, so the last thing we want, obviously, and this is really at majors, because unfortunately we typically don't have, except for playoffs, we don't have umpires available to do AAA games. But it's just a general matter. We've had situations in the past where kids have been thrown out of a game, and that's a drag because they have to miss the next game. It's something as a board that we obviously don't volunteer to deal with these situations, but they come up. So it's just through the ranks, it's a good message to have to your kids about, how to deal with those situations, whether it's, just at the lower levels with coaches that are going to be umping. AAA is notorious, right? Because it's the 2 coaches just kind of doing their best. It's a good thing to sort of emphasize about how to deal with that thing, because it's happened. I can recall a situation about 4 or 5 years ago where a kid got thrown out in a majors game in his last regular season game.
Okay.
And then right, and then had to miss the next game, which could have been his last. I think he was a 12. Yeah. And it's a drag, so we don't want to see that happen. So it's something good to sort of institute through the ranks.
I will say So I've been on the board for many years, and it has gotten so much better. We used to have the reputation before we merged into one league, and we had Portland North. And the other two leagues, I'm not 100% sure how they handled it, but we were notorious a league at that point where we could not get anybody from out of district to umpire our games because we did not have a great reputation for that. We've gotten so much better, especially on the coaching side. It doesn't happen much. The really important one are the junior umpires. So if I get the high school girls coming up, you're talking 14, 15-year-old girls or boys that are going to do games for us. I know we had an issue last year at another town where we had a girl go home crying. So we don't want that happening.
I got another question. John, can you talk about the bats? Because every year I've been involved with Little League, there's somebody that buys a brand new bat from Dick's and it's not a USA bat. They all have to be USA all the way up, right?
For baseball,
For baseball.
they have to be USA. They have to have the USA softball, USA baseball stamp on them, and that is the Little League. They can be wooden bats. They can do wooden. They can't do BD core. There are also some length restrictions based on the level you're at. But if you have a kid showing up with a bat that's too long, he's probably going to be able to swing it at that age. So softball, it needs to have there's a mark on it that says 1.20 BPF. So you need to make sure the softball bat has that on it also.
Yeah, so if you get questions from parents about the bats, so I don't know if everybody knows what we mean when we say USA bats. So there's like different standards. There's USA bats and there's like USSA bats.
Right, so every bat manufacturer goes through, so many of them are, especially on the softball side. Baseball is pretty much standardized to USA baseball. Softball, you have ASA, USA, USSSA, there's all kinds of standards. For Little League, it could have multiple ones on them. They're probably good for multiple leagues, but make sure it has that 1.20 BPF on it. I think there's one of the Easton Ghost bats. Do you know Michelle Ray? Some of the Easton Ghost bats out there. I know I threw 3 bats out of our All-Star tournament last year in Westbrook because they did not have the 1.20 stamp on them. So look for that, and all our bats here should have them on
Yeah.
it. So you can look on that.
And for baseball, it's just USA.
Yeah.
It has to be the USA standard, so. All right, any other questions about? All right, so before we just break off, we're doing pretty good here. I just again, to reiterate a couple things. So like Andrew said, we did work on some standard stuff. So for T-ball, coach pitch is encouraged. And they're gonna talk about how they're gonna do that. We did it last year with John's team and our team. So we were just saying that out loud because we got some questions last year about like, we're supposed to be doing this. So we want to encourage that. They're going to talk about how to institute that. And the other thing we sort of, at both T-ball and AA, so we're going to have cones at each field, those little practice cones to put at actual positions, because we do want, for both learning the game and for safety reasons, we want to avoid that situation where it's just like a collection of, it's like an amoeba of kids around the pitcher's mound. Because as Andrew or somebody said, there's like a handful of T-ball kids who they'll get a hold of the ball and, they'll injure someone, and it just learns the position. So there's some stuff that we've kind of put some work into over the off season. So I just want to kind of say it out loud, and then you'll hear more about it from the division director. So anybody have any questions at all before we kind of break you guys off into Zora? Yep.
I want to talk about Game Changer. Game Changer is already set up by the league.
Right.
So you don't have to download the app, create your team, add your kids. It's already ready for you. If you have issues, please reach out to us. That's all.
Yeah, so if nobody's ever used it, you just download Game Changer, right? And then as long as the email address that you use to sign up for the app, and it's free, is the same email address that you use on our website, then you just go in there and you should be able to click on the little plus symbol, and then I think it's like import Sports Connect, and it should import the team that you're coaching, And through that, you can text message, use the messaging app or the email app. And if parents are asking, you can add, just by clicking on the contact for a particular player, you can add an email address. So just reach out if you got it, it's really handy once you get it set up, so. Anything else? Ready to rock?